question. Is it okay to feel uncomfortable at work? But no. Wait, but sometimes don't you need to like get out of your comfort zone, grow a little bit? How do you grow if you're not a little uncomfortable? Yes. Right, but then not all kinds of uncomfortable are the same. Like if somebody's saying inappropriate things to you, don't you need to like tell somebody or something? Hashtag me too and all of that. So maybe we need to be a little bit more precise in our language when we say we're uncomfortable at work. Why don't you have a seat? When I first started my career, I was uncomfortable a lot. I was being asked to do things I had never done before. I was learning how to manage my professional relationships and my personal relationships, and some that were both. There were times that I wasn't sure if the situation I was in was uncomfortable because it was new or because someone was being inappropriate. So what did you do about it? I made mistakes. First, I'll tell you what I did do, and then I'll tell you what I wish I had done. Mostly I did nothing. And that's one of my biggest regrets. When someone made a rude comment or a stranger came up behind me, a co-worker, just one that I had never met before, came up behind me and started playing with my hair. When someone assumed me or the one other woman in the room who was also an engineer would be the best one to be the note taker for the meeting, despite me having never taken notes for a meeting that he had been in before. He just knew that I'd be really good at it. Or when they asked me to lead a discussion at an all-hands meeting. Or when I was asked to give a tour of the site. Or when a coworker added me on Snapchat and made some very inappropriate, now I know it's inappropriate, I mean I knew back then too I guess, jokes about my butt. All of those situations made me uncomfortable. And I just kind of let them happen. I didn't do anything. I mean, the presentation and the tour, I gave the presentation and the tour, but I laughed at the jokes. I just tried to choose the path of least resistance for a lot of stuff. And in my head I thought, I guess this is just what it's like being a woman in engineering. Is it? Absolutely not. I mean, the presentation and the tour, yes, those were actually part of my responsibilities and helped me grow in my ability to interact and communicate my ideas. But the other ones, not appropriate, and to differing degrees of what I could have done in those situations, whether I needed to talk to my supervisor or go straight to HR or just talk to that person one-on-one and be like, hey, you can't just assume that the women in the room are going to be the note takers. That's might be an unconscious bias that you need to pay attention to. But I didn't really have anyone to run these things by, to know if I was overreacting by being uncomfortable. Maybe these are just normal situations. When I first started, this is way pre-COVID, but the amount of times I had to shake strangers' hands kind of made me uncomfortable. Why do we have to shake hands every time we meet a new person? I'm okay with it now. But that kind of thing, like, if I made a big deal about it, would have been overreacting. Anyway, so I didn't have somebody to ask, is this a normal part of business? Is this an okay, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, the cat keeps interrupting us. Is this an okay professional interaction? Is it okay for someone who I have a personal and a professional relationship with to make these kinds of jokes while we're at work, because we do have that personal relationship on the side. Those friendships at work can be wonderful and so fulfilling, and make the hard work days a little bit brighter. But also the balance of professional and personal gets really complicated. My recommendation for you is to get a work mentor, a work bestie is what I'm calling it. And I know I just said personal and professional but what I'm suggesting for this work bestie is not somebody who you necessarily go out drinking with or, party on the weekends, but somebody who, for the work stuff, can be that confidant, can be that person that you can talk to. But you need someone who understands. Doesn't necessarily need to be somebody who's been through exactly the same thing as you before. If you are a very specific minority, a very specific sect of the population, if you can find someone in your general field who has gone through a more specific situation that you're going through, great. And sometimes it can be really good to have someone who is part of the majority there to explain to you how the majority is seeing things and how it is from the other side of an interaction, regardless of what your specific status is as far as gender, race, sexuality, class, background. Find someone who at the very least can be empathetic and that you trust to give you an honest opinion on whether these situations are good, uncomfortable, kind that do help you grow and mature as an employee, or if they're the kind that you need to raise up this behavior because it's not okay. Whether that's talking to your supervisor or talking to HR, or again just talking to the individual and trying to help them see why their behavior was not acceptable. Or sometimes your mentor can be that liaison to go and talk to the person and be like, hey, not cool, bud. Your work bestie could be someone on your team. It could be someone who you pass in the halls and you decide you want to start having lunch with. Or it can be me. If you have a situation at work and you want a work bestie to let you know how she would handle it, I can be there for you. Actual you on the other side of this camera, not pretend me sitting in. Well, the chair's not there right now, but chair that. Not. So actual you. Feel free to reach out to one of my social medias down below if you have a work situation that you want to chat about. I haven't seen everything, but I've seen enough. It kind of feels weird to do my normal sign off here, so great meeting. Get back to work. Have a good, safe rest of your day. Bye. Please get out of my office. I have work to do. It's the weekend if you're part of my actual company. I promise.